Everyone hear me all right? Fantastic. Did everyone have a good day yesterday? I know you all have lots of activities during the day, I'm assuming, during the camp. Did anybody try any of the breathing exercises we learned yesterday? Yes, yeah, a few of you did. Good. Were they helpful? Let's see a thumbs up if they were helpful. All right. Julia says, no, not helpful. All right, Julia. Well, they don't work for everybody. And sometimes we expect there are a couple of things you can do if they weren't helpful, is to do more. So sometimes if we just do one or two little cycles of breathing, it doesn't quite help. I think I told you guys I need about 7. So if I don't do 7 of those, I don't feel any changes at all. It's almost like some people just need to drink a little bit of water, and other people need to drink a whole bunch of water before they're quench their thirst. So I would recommend, if it's not working for you, give it one more shot and see if you can do maybe just a few more cycles. And then if it doesn't work, you can try other things. It's, there's some people it doesn't work for. Anybody have a good experience with it yesterday that they want to share? They say, hey, I did this and I felt better. Just like a quick share. I would love to hear something. I saw some hands go up. Don't be shy. Oh, not the sharing kind, huh? It's the quiet kind. All right. All right. All right. So today we're actually going to start.
Colleen had a story.
Oh, where's Colleen? There you are. Oh, sorry, Colleen. I did too.
Hi.
Go ahead, Colleen.
No, it's fine. So I had some trouble sleeping last night, and I actually used it to lull myself back to sleep, and it worked like a charm. It was great.
Yes. Yeah. So not only is it a good way to regulate your fight or flight before you play, it's also a good sleeping technique. It was recommended many years ago in a book by a guy named Andrew Weil, who wrote a lot about healthy eating and a bunch of other things. And he recommended it in the book for people with insomnia. So if you have insomnia, or if you start getting those racing thoughts at nights, it's a really good exercise. Okay, so let's go to a second one today. And instead of talking a whole bunch at first, let's just try it and then we'll talk about it afterwards, okay? And this is sort of a really simple bringing the mind home exercise. And I like to do this before I practice if I'm feeling just a little scattered, if my head's just kind of all over the place, or sometimes just in the morning before I get my routine going, before I go get my coffee, or I open a laptop or check my phone. I like to just kind of try this, okay? All right, so step 1 is just to find a comfortable position. It's good if you're sitting down. You can do this laying down as well, but it's not as effective because you tend to fall asleep. And one really nice hint that helps me is I like to think of my ears sort of being aligned with my shoulders. So if I'm doing this, my head's kind of bopping and I feel a little unaligned. If I'm doing this, right, then that's a little too much. But if I just kind of allow my shoulders and my ears to align, that helps a little bit. And then I put my hands on my lap. I'm going to take my glasses off. And it's really important to try to keep your hands somewhere where they're going to be relaxed. Otherwise, it's really not very effective. And I put my hands down on my lap, or on my palms up, whatever's comfortable for you. And we start every exercise with taking a deep breath in and then letting out slowly. One more deep breath in. Let it out nice and slow. Okay, so right now, in your awareness, you are experiencing lots of sensations. You can hear things in the room. You can probably smell something. Maybe your room has a distinct smell. Maybe it still smells like breakfast, or maybe you're outside. Just go ahead and smell the room. Listen to the sounds in your room. What kind of sounds do you hear? Spend the moment sort of letting that come into your ears. Notice if you have any taste left over from breakfast. Sometimes there's still a little bit of taste in our tongues from the food that we ate. Or if we brushed our teeth just a little while ago, we might still have that toothpaste taste. Just go ahead and notice that. And I want you to notice the feeling of your feet touching the ground. You can wiggle your toes. Sometimes that helps. Just kind of notice your feet touching the ground. Those little bones that connect us to our chair, they're called the sit bones. I want you to notice your sit bones and how they feel on your chair. And here's a really cool one. Right now, gravity is pulling you down into the ground. I want you to notice that sensation of being pulled into the ground by gravity. You might feel it as just a relaxed sort of pull from the earth. It's kind of neat that we do that. If we didn't have gravity, we'd all float away. All right. And now, as you're sitting there, you could do this with your eyes closed or open. I want you to notice your breathing. Notice if it has any sound. Kind of leave your attention anchored on your breathing for just a moment. Notice if your breathing is heavy or if it's shallow. Just kind of notice it. You're like a detective right now, just kind of noticing your experience. You're not trying to change anything about it. You're kind of looking at it like a scientist, just kind of stepping back and looking through your awareness at all these different things that are going on. Right now, we're just noticing our breath. Now, as you're noticing your breath, you might notice that your mind wants to go somewhere else. It's very normal. We call that monkey mind. Monkey mind wants to go to something else. It wants to see the next thing. It wants to move forward. Or maybe your monkey mind is thinking about the past, something that happened yesterday. Just notice that you have a monkey mind and that it's perfectly normal. Nothing wrong with your monkey mind. It's just what it means to be human. You want to do and see exciting things, and your mind wants to know, well, what is that going to be like? But for right now, as you notice it, I want you to invite your monkey mind to take a seat and chill out for just a moment. Say, monkey mind, just relax. I'm just noticing my breath right now, just for a little while. I appreciate you being here, but just give me a little time with my breath. And just bring your attention back to your breath. The sounds and physical sensations of breathing. And as your mind gets anchored on your breath a little bit, see if you can notice any sounds in the room that are coming in as you breathe. So it might be the sound of your own breathing, or birds, or a hum. You can attend to more than one thing at once, just not too many. And kind of let your body naturally relax as you notice your breathing. And then you're going to have a little moment where you're going to do some self-talk, just a little bit of talking to yourself. And you're going to say, I feel pretty focused right now. I want to take this sense of focus to all of the activities that I do today. So you're setting a little intention to focus, to keep your mind focused for the rest of the day. And you can also say, and anytime I get distracted from my focus, I'll just notice that I'm distracted and come back to what I need to pay attention to. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Kind of just notice how your body feels right now after you're letting it ground itself. Cool. All right. Let's ask some questions. How many of you had a moment of monkey mind in there where your brain just kind of went somewhere else? Yeah. Welcome to being a human being, right? So, all my life, I was told, you need to concentrate, you need to concentrate, you need to concentrate. And I actually felt bad because I didn't always concentrate. So, I thought there was something wrong with me when I wasn't able to do exactly what was in front of me. But as I've done more research on this, and as I've talked to some of my friends who are neuroscientists and psychologists and other people, they tell me that it's actually quite normal for the mind to go away and come back, go away and come back, right? And so instead of thinking of the going away as a problem, we think of the going away as just something we have to notice. So when my mind goes away, I just notice it. It's kind of like my puppy, right? I have a new kitty, actually, my little 7-year-old cat. You know, she does weird things, like she likes to scratch my toes and she likes to mess with the curtain, right? That's what little kitties do. But rather than get mad at her, because she is a little kitten, right? I just remind her once again, you can't do that, right? And I put her back, and now she's doing it a lot less, right? And sometimes we just have to do that to our mind. Our mind's a little bit like a crazy little kitty or puppy. It wants to go all over the place. And we don't get mad at our minds. We just say, hey, come back, puppy. Come back. Okay. Come over here, right? And we bring it back to focus. And so this simple exercise, what you can do is you can pick anything in your awareness, any physical sensation, your breath, any sounds that you're hearing, the feeling of groundedness. You get to choose, but you have to give your mind an object to focus on. If you don't give it an object to focus on, it will kind of go off on its own. Does that make sense to everyone? Right? And sometimes it's easy to pay attention, and sometimes it's incredibly difficult to pay attention. I'll ask you this. Is it easy to pay attention if you're playing a video game? Some of you are like, no, some are yes, right? Well, yeah, sometimes it's designed to help you pay attention, right? Because if you do something and you win or you get points, you get little flashes, ding, 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 and you're like, yay, right? Or you get, oh, look at all those points, or you accomplish something, right? So it tricks your brain into going, oh, yeah, cool. I want to keep doing this because I'm accomplishing something, right? And the game gets harder and harder and harder. So that's one way that we've learned to pay attention. But a harder way, and it's the way that musicians need to do it, is we need to focus even though we're not getting a lot of ping, ping, pings, right? Sometimes you're practicing something and there's no score, right? There's nothing happening except, oh, this is not getting any better. And so we have to learn and go, okay, I can hear myself saying that. That's cool. Okay. My monkey mind saying, or my judgmental mind is saying, you're not getting any better. And you say, okay, judgmental mind, I hear you, but I'm going to focus on this because I have a goal that I need to accomplish. And even though that may be helpful, in some cases, probably not that helpful right now. Okay. So some of you had monkey mind, right? Let me ask you this. During your monkey mind, were you able to bring your attention back to a sense that we were talking about? How many of you were able to go, yeah, I noticed my monkey mind, but I'm able to come back? All right, we have a handful of you. Good. If you were able to bring your mind back, that is the goal of the exercise. The goal of the exercise is not, I'm never going to be distracted. That is impossible. But the goal is, can I catch myself being distracted? And that's what we call mindful awareness. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a couple of videos and a little bit about the brain, and then we're going to try a different exercise with our instruments that helps us do the same thing, but during a warm-up. It makes the warm-up just a little more interesting. And I'm going to head and share my screen with you for a moment. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what this is like. So you should see something that says, oh, maybe not. Oh, wrong share. Let me try that again. New share screen. There we go. Okay. Can you guys see that presentation? It's got a little piano on it. Awesome. Okay. So we were bringing our mind home that whole time, right? And home is where? Right here in the moment, right? Right with our goals and with the people that we're around. So it's a practice. We learn to do it. And so I'm going to start by showing you a cool video of a friend of mine. Her name is Barbara Bogatin, and she plays cello for the San Francisco Symphony. She is the co-principal cellist, I believe, and she is an incredible musician and a really powerful meditator. She learned to meditate many years ago using mindfulness. She also goes to interesting retreats, and here she's having a conversation about what she does as a cellist, how she uses mindfulness to sort of bring her mind home and let go of distractions. It's a short video, and it's also got some really interesting scenes where she goes to a Buddhist monastery and sort of learns to meditate with a teacher. And there's some kind of really interesting little things that go on. So let's just watch a little bit of it.
The first time I meditated, the teacher started out by giving a basic meditation instruction. Feel grounded on the floor. Feel your bottom on the cushion, your feet on the floor. Be aware of the rising and falling of your breath. They talked about deep listening. And the first thing that I thought of is, this is sounding just like what I do when I practice the cello. Practicing the concept of quieting your mind, focusing your attention on something very present. Just like in meditation, when you start a practice session, you always begin exactly where you are. I feel myself sitting on the chair. I feel my feet grounded on the floor. I feel my relationship to the instrument and to the bow. Certainly most cellists play the Bach solo suites from childhood through the ends of their life. The more deeply you listen to the music, sometimes I feel like I can hear Bach speaking through his music. When I play, I don't want to be distracted by lots of thoughts. The art of staying present, which we do in meditation, and we also do when we're playing music. One can really appreciate each moment. And being fully present in the moment, I mean, isn't that what life is all about?
The word that Barbara and I find that we share the most when we teach together is the word practice, that we are all practicing all the time.
It's possible to learn an instrument or really any skill simply by doing it over and over again. Just the repetition of any activity will get you a long way towards learning it, towards improving. But if you really want to get to the level of professional expertise or some mastery of your skill, you need to learn how to practice in a very conscious way with a great deal of awareness of what you're doing and how to improve. Another thing that's extremely important that we talk about a lot in meditation, and that's a non-judgmental neutral awareness. So very often, especially as students, we really have a lot of dissatisfaction with our progress. And it's very important to maintain a neutrality, because those thoughts, those I should this and why can't I that, they get in your way. They're not helpful thoughts. You have to be discerning, but there's a certain acceptance of wherever you are. In fact, I say to my students, when they get into that state of the cello, well.
All right. Interesting little video, huh? It's fascinating to watch somebody at that high level of performance who actually does a little bit of this mindfulness meditation practice herself, right? And if you notice what the video is, she made a pretty, what I think is a really interesting comparison. She says what? This mindfulness meditation practice is exactly what we do when we play music, right? It's the same thing. We quiet our minds. We learn to become very aware of what's happening. We monitor what's happening. We have a goal, but we also allow ourselves to let go of things that aren't helpful. So it's one thing to be judgmental, right? And say, well, that was out of tune. That's okay. But it's another thing to say that I'm out of tune and I'm a terrible human being, right? Or I'm out of tune and I'm never going to get this. And that's what we have to watch out for, is those judgmental thoughts, right? Well, besides that, how many of you thought she was a pretty good player? Okay. Oh, really? Only a handful of it. I think she's pretty amazing. Were you not able to see a video? Were you all able to see the actual video itself?
No, it was just
why didn't anyone say anything? Oh no!
I hear it.
Okay, you can hear it.
Oh,
you missed it.
Or send it afterwards, then we can share it.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful video. I'm really sorry. Let me know when that happens. I can't tell on my end sometimes what technical difficulties are going on. All right. So I wanted to share that because I think it's cool to know that really, really fantastic musicians, even the professional ones, do these kinds of practices. And a place like the San Francisco Symphony and other places, a lot of musicians do something like mindfulness. So you're in good company if you learn these techniques. Okay, so what you did that earlier was sort of a short experiment, right? I want to remind you of the basic steps because they're the basic steps that you can take to any situation. First of all, you sat up kind of tall or with good posture. Hopefully everyone's seeing that, right? There is an actual picture there, right? And then you attended to your breath at the end, right? So I used the breath, but you can use anything at all. Do you remember some of the things we asked our mind to attend to while we were doing that practice? What are some things I asked you to attend to when we first started the practice? Do you remember? Anybody can answer. So the breath, yeah, Julia, the breath, sensation of breathing. Anything else? Yeah, Natalie, what you heard? Yeah, are there any sounds? That's your mind has an anchor. Anything else? A couple of them in there I thought were interesting. Do you remember the sense of gravity? Yeah, isn't that interesting that if we didn't sense gravity, we would fall over. Right? Our whole lives are just about really when we're walking is learning to work with gravity. That's why little kids have to eventually figure out how to walk, right? So we're constantly balancing ourselves against this really nice pull against the ground. And if you can remember that you're being pulled into the ground, it's a really nice feeling. It's like, I'm here, I've arrived, right? And then we talked about noticing distractions and then reattending, right? This is a fun practice. And again, if the breath is too hard for you, you can do it on your fingertips. You can do it on anything that grounds you, that helps you feel like you're connected to something physical. All right, so I'm gonna talk to you really quickly about the brain and what it is that we're doing here so that you get a basic understanding. So I'm showing you a picture here of something called the default mode network. Ooh, fancy word. Default mode network. And default mode network is a series of, there are parts of your brains that are connected that create a particular types of experiences, right? And so I'm gonna just really quickly go through this. The amygdala, which is this little tiny part of your brain in the center of your brain, that really helps us, that's what helps us process emotion. So the amygdala is always stamping every experience with a feeling. I like it, I don't like it, it's good, I want it, I don't want it. It's sort of that emotional experience that you have attached to certain things. The hippocampus, which is down here also near the brainstem, is the part that helps us remember things. So if I were to say, Julia, do you know who you are? Julia would go, yeah, of course I know who I am, right? And it would be because your brain remembers who you are. But if you have amnesia and I say, hey, Julia, who are you? You're like, I don't know. It's because your brain isn't connected necessarily to those parts of the hip, or your hippocampus has not processed that part of your thinking as it should, right? This over here is called the medial prefrontal cortex. Try to say that 50 times really fast. Medial prefrontal cortex, medial prefrontal cortex. Medial prefrontal cortex is kind of like an integrating part of your brain. It takes your thoughts, your emotions, and your memories and combines them into your experience, right? So if our medial prefrontal cortex isn't working, we might remember stuff, but we wouldn't know it's our own memories. We might have emotions, but we wouldn't know that those emotions actually were ours, right? It would be a sort of weird sense of having an experience, but not knowing that we're the people who experienced that, right? So it creates your sense of self. And then the posterior cingulate cortex up here, a little bit like the medial prefrontal cortex, that's a part of our brains. Actually, both these parts are involved in planning. Whenever you plan for the future or you think about the future, these parts are involved. So how many of you thought about something that might happen today when you were trying to do that meditation with me earlier? How many of you went, oh, I've got this thing going on? Yeah, right? That means your PCC and your medial prefrontal cortex were working. And if it was something really cool, like, oh, I'm going to get to do something awesome, like play or play for somebody or do something really exciting, then your amygdala said, good, right? But how many of you had a thought about the future and your amygdala went, I'm worried about that. Anybody have that experience while we were meditating? Yeah, right? So you see how interesting this is. Okay, so this is the default mode network, and it's perfectly normal for it to be on all the time. This is about 70% of your daily processes happens here. But what we know is that if the default mode network becomes too active, we start to feel anxious and depressed. And it makes sense, right? If we're thinking too much about the future, but our future is negative, or we're thinking about the past and we're thinking about something that's negative, right? Our experiences in the moment are very negative. We don't feel good, even though what's happening right in front of us might not be bad at all, right? So sometimes when we're playing music, and I know you've probably experienced this, there might be absolutely nothing wrong with what's going on, but you're bringing memories about the past or things about the future into your present moment that probably don't need to be there right now, right? So for example, if I'm trying to learn a concerto, I probably shouldn't be thinking about something that's going to happen 3 years from now or later this afternoon. It's probably not going to be very helpful, especially if I'm stressed out about it. So I wanted to show you what that little meditation does is it activates the central executive network, which I'm not showing you here, which is a way of going, oh, I'm going to activate a different network and I'm going to shut down all this other stuff, right? So it's almost like when you drive a car, you cannot go forward and backwards at the same time. So think of the default mode network as the accelerator, right? If I'm accelerating forward, the car's going to go forward, right? If I'm biking, if I'm on a pedal bike and I'm pedaling forward, I can only pedal forward. But then if I go and I stop it, right? That's activating a different process. You're activating the brakes, right? When you ask your mind to focus on something physical or in the moment or gravity or a sound, you are activating the brake and you're shutting down the default mode network, which is kind of like the accelerator. Isn't that cool that we can do that, right? And you keep practicing, you get better at using your brakes. When I first started learning to drive, I really needed to learn to use my brakes. Okay, quickly, grab an instrument. I'm going to show you a very quick version of this that you can try while you practice. Okay, so I want everybody to pick a really simple 4-note scale. You don't even have to do anything more than a 4-note scale, okay? Very, very simple. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna really concentrate on playing that scale going up and coming down very slowly, like maybe in whole notes, okay? So everybody got that? So you can pick any scale you want because I can't hear you, but the rule has to be you're gonna play it in whole notes, okay? So if you're playing piano, maybe pick your right hand or your left hand, it doesn't matter. You can pick both hands, that's cool too. If you are playing a string instrument, you know, just choose an easy to play 4-note scale, up and down. And then what I want you to do is, if you're a wind player, same thing, just pick out any scale. And here's what you're gonna do. First, you take a deep breath like we've done before. Okay, and now we're gonna pick the sense of touch. Okay, so if you are playing a string instrument or you're playing piano, I want you to really focus on the sensation on your fingertips as you play this scale, whole notes going up and down. You're still gonna play it in tune, you're still gonna do that, but you're really gonna focus on the sensation of your fingertips. Got it? Everybody understand that? If you're a wind player, I want you to concentrate on the sensation of air going past your lips as you're playing. Or, yeah, just air going past your lips, okay? And we're gonna go up and down, about this tempo actually. Let's do a little faster. About there. Whole notes going up. Do not repeat the top note and come down. Everybody understand? Are you ready? Set your instrument. Concentrating on the sensation. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 1, 2, 1. Relax. Shake it out. Now, I want you to do the same thing again. And this time, I want you to concentrate on sensations in your hand, not just your fingers, but your entire left hand this time. What does that feel like? Okay, you're not trying to change it. You're not judging it. You're just noticing it as you play. You ready? Wind players, this time, I want you to focus on the sensation on your fingertips, not your wind. So if you're playing flute, you're focusing on your fingertips. If you're playing a trumpet, trombone, whatever, some aspect of the physical part of your hands or your slide. And remember, you're playing 4 notes going up and 4 notes going down. You ready? Sorry. Yeah, and they're all whole notes. 1, 2, focusing on the hand. And 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, okay, you're bringing your mind home. And then for the final one, I want you to do noticing your whole body, the sensation in your whole body as you play, okay? Very physical. Now, if your mind gets distracted from that, just bring it right back. Just bring it right back to the sensation of your body, right? Go, oh, monkey mind, see you later. Back to my body. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I know we're running out of time, so I'll ask just a quick question. How many of you notice your mind even then wanting to go to something else? Anybody notice it get distracted? Yeah. So even as something as simple as a warm-up, right? Our minds can get so distracted. Now imagine if over time you could learn the ability to let go of those distractions so that you're using more of your mind for actual playing, for actual feeling, sensing, and hearing. When you train your mind that way, your whole musical world becomes much more vibrant and much more easy to manage, right? You're training yourself to focus. I used to have a really hard time focusing, and I can find now that I can go 25 to 30 minutes with almost no distraction now when I practice, which doesn't sound like a lot, but musicians understand 25 to 30 minutes of pretty intense practice is so much better than 3 hours of distracted practice, which is what a lot of us will do, right? And it uses the same principles, just coming back to the sensation. Last question, how many of you could sense we're pretty good at letting go and then, yeah, I got to come back to the sensation in my fingertips, my body? Great. It just takes 5 minutes. It's like a little bit like a brain boost, right? It's like having breakfast. It just reminds your brain, I can focus, I can do this, and I can let go of distractions. And that's bringing the mind home. Thank you so much for being here again this morning. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about scanning our bodies and our emotions, which is a really interesting little exercise, and teaching you some strategies for that. So, great.
Thank you so much. We'll see you
Thank you.
tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great morning.
You too.